Hello and welcome to episode 108, Writing in the Weeds. What are we talking about today is what's living rent-free in your head. What thoughts and ideas and things are you constantly allowing to ruminate in your mind? In that moment when your brain isn't doing anything else, where does it go? What does it spend too much time thinking about? This is something that will keep you always slightly in the weeds, right? Imagine riding down a bike trail and you're just not able to stay in the center of the trail. You're always just slightly off to one side or the other. That's what these thoughts do, right? When we have these thoughts that are just sitting in the back of the mind and they're just floating around and you don't really notice them. The thing is, those thoughts are literally changing the direction of your life. Or if you're listening to Joe Dispenza, he would say they're keeping you living the exact same day over and over and over again, because you wake up and you think about that thing and that instantly puts you back in the exact same cycle as you were in yesterday. And I was thinking about this morning as I was noticing these thoughts that I just keep having, and I'm sick of them. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So I am Natasha Lockie. I am a business builder. I am here to help you get over yourself and build the business that you're looking for. Whether you're trying to get clients as a consultant or a coach and you just need a system to easily make that happen for you. You need a simple website. Maybe you need to start an online course. I got you. And I am here with my amazing co-host, Jenny, who will introduce herself, and then we will dive right on in.
Yeah, I'm Jenny Brandon. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. If you are having challenges with your pets, whether that's behavioral, emotional, or a physical challenge, then that is a good reason to have a session together so that we can get all of you back on the same page and back into more harmony together.
So let's start with, what are the thoughts that we want to be rolling through our heads the whole time?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. And I think the challenge is that we don't actually make the choice, right? Frequently, our days are spent at the mercy of our thoughts, and we aren't making a conscious decision about what we do want to be thinking about versus what is not helpful to think about. And I think this falls under that overarching umbrella of focus, right? Which is one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, I think, to making sure you stay out of the weeds, is where is your focus? And where this conversation started when we were fleshing out this idea together a little bit ago was the idea of paying attention. So your attention costs you something.
Yeah.
And if you are giving your attention to something, there's a cost for that. And so the question is that cost an expense that just keeps depleting? Or is that cost of the attention actually going to give you an ROI at the end of the day based on whatever it was that was taking your attention? And I think when we can break it down into that kind of a bigger picture look, what is this costing me to have my attention here on this thing? Then it's a lot easier to go, you know what? The cost of this attention does not give me a benefit. Doom scrolling does not give me a benefit in the long run. I might get a little bit a hit of a dopamine here, or I might get a little smile or a laugh. I might see something from a friend that is actually helpful or useful. But in the bigger picture, in between all of those little bits is a lot of not helpful stuff, a lot of searching for more dopamine and not necessarily getting it. And so that cost to me isn't worth it. Do I sometimes sit down and make the choice to doom scroll? Yes. But I work very hard to make sure that I'm limiting that amount of time and that I am choosing when to start and choosing when to stop again so that it still is a choice. But it's those things that suck away our attention that we're not aware of. That cost is just flying out from us. And it's not a conscious choice at that point. And then those costs become very big very fast.
Well, and the backside of that is the doom scrolling. I was reading the other day that, probably while I was doom scrolling, that
Of course.
the research is now showing that the short 30-second clips and these hits of dopamine are actually as bad as, or maybe worse for our brain than alcohol.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
And
I'm not shocked a bit.
it's mushing our brain. It's creating damage to our brain because of the way that the dopamine's hitting. We're also being subconsciously trained to think about a certain thing. If your algorithm is constantly showing you pictures of 50-plus-year-old women that have six-pack abs, then you start to think that that's how you need to look, and that's how the entire world except for you looks. If you're constantly seeing manifestation stuff and people telling you that you should be able to manifest this, or if you say this affirmation, if you do this thing, you will be able to XYZ, it is boycotting your ability to think for yourself. You start to think that if you hand your power over to somebody else, you will get whatever it is that they are telling you. And the backside of that is your rumination, the thoughts that are going on in the background when you're not paying attention become, I'm not skinny enough. I'm not wealthy enough. And it's because I'm not doing this thing. I'm not a good enough bike rider. The other day I saw a post about the mountain biking group in Roseland, and there was a picture of a girl doing a feature that is one of the features that I wrote off as something I never wanted to do. And that took up real estate in my brain for a little while about how, like, oh, they've gotten so much better than me. Oh, it's a good thing that I quit mountain bike coaching in Roseland because I'm not good enough to do that anymore. And this thought pattern came up. And yeah, we can be sitting there watching surfing clips, and we can be watching mountain biking clips, and we can be watching the funny dog clips, and they don't feel like they're bad. And in fact, they give us entertainment, but they're still creating that dopamine. They're still short pieces of information that are implanting themselves. And even the good messages are not necessarily going to be doing good things. They disrupt our ability to think for ourselves.
Yeah. And not only do they disrupt our ability to think for ourselves, they disrupt our ability to have long-term focus, to be able to hold our focus and attention on something for an extended period of time. They disrupt our ability to be able to make our own choices about how we feel. We feel like we have to be fed a constant stream of things. The list of negatives just goes on and on and on. And at that point, the cost to me to pay attention to that is never worth the benefit. And so therefore, what do I need to do to make sure that I am not having that expense in my life? I don't want my energy to be sucked away to that. And so I need to very purposefully choose to do something different. And that is the key piece to all of this is if you are paying attention to something, if your attention is costing you something that you don't like, you're going to have to be really, really intentional and purposeful about making the decision not to do that. The challenge is you're going to have to make that decision 1,000,001 times. Talk about this with the horses when we're doing a lot of the work is that they are going to move in and out of good balance over and over and over again as they build those correct muscles. And so the key is that you're going to have to ask them to go back into good balance over and over and over and over again. And it's no different with ourselves, with our focus, with our bodies, with everything. This is the small steps, right? This is how we work through that. But it starts with the conscious decision to say, you know what? That's costing me too much.
Yeah.
I don't want that in my energy, in my life, in my field, in the way that it is now.
Yeah.
Can we make a change? And the beautiful thing is you can always go back. You can always change it back. You can always change it to something else.
Yeah.
Lately, we've been giving ourselves arbitrary rules that are helping us do better at things. We've decided if we don't go to the gym, we're going to take a walk that night.
Yeah.
And we may start incorporating yoga, and that might be a different choice that we make. But like now the arbitrary rule is on nights we don't go to the gym, we do something else that has an impact on the positive for our movement in our body.
And I think
It's a rule. It's a totally made up rule for us, but it's what's going to help keep us continuing to go back to the thing that is important to us.
But it's not an arbitrary rule so much as it's flipping the conversation. If you are somebody who believes that health and strength and wellness and the body composition is important, and if you're someone who's like, I am a fit, strong, healthy individual, those are the choices that you would make. And so a couple of things in there is when you're having a thought in one direction, switching it to the opposite, right? Like, oh my God, I'm not thin enough. Okay, that's now creating that reality in the quantum field. So the reality I want to create is I am strong, I'm fit, and I love the way I look in the mirror or in a bikini or whatever it happens to be. And if you can actually flip it to the opposite, it's a great concept. The other idea is like the horses, same thing with biking. One of the things that I used to teach a lot was when you're in it, when you're in the middle of it, we're not thinking about anything. In this case, you're going down a gnarly piece of terrain, right? So all you're thinking about is holding your shit together so that you don't fly off the bicycle. So all you can focus on is what is happening in that moment. The minute you get out of that intensity, the brain, the body goes somewhere else. So being intentional about coming back into focus. You come into the piece of terrain, heels down, strong core, look ahead. You're thinking about what you need to do to succeed. You get to the other side, everything's fallen apart. You literally just made it through. Now, putting yourself back together, building the balance back up, starting again, getting ready, and then being prepared for the next thing. It is the exact same on a bicycle, and it's the exact same in life. You will go through things and you will not have time to pay attention because you're just in it. You're dealing with it. You're in an argument with your spouse. You're having a thing at work. You're stressed for whatever reason, but you come out of it and then you choose to build it back up again. And that's when you have the opportunity to notice what the thoughts are, to notice what's going on, and to then actively start to change them. We wake up in the morning. If you notice the first thoughts that you have in the morning, if you think the same thing when you wake up in the morning every morning, you are going to have the same day that you had yesterday. If you start to notice that thought, instead of like, oh, I need to get up and do a workout because otherwise I'm going to get fat, that thought becomes, I am going to get up and I'm going to go and do a workout because it feels so good to feel strong and healthy when I start my day. I'm going to go and do my yoga because when I do my yoga, I know that it sets me up intentionally for the rest of the day. Building that into, I am the sort of person who does this because of XYZ, as opposed to that negative other side, and just making those choices. The last thing I'll say is that last night I was making the choice to binge watch a TV show, and I made myself dinner, and I made a very nice dinner. And then I sat down and had my dinner and watched my TV show. I was just going to watch one episode. It was really good. And so I then watched another episode, and then I was like, okay, I got to fold the laundry, and I need to do the dishes. And so I watched the TV show while I folded the laundry. And then I was like, well, I'll watch the rest of this episode and then I'll do the dishes. I'm like, no, you're going to do the dishes and then you get to watch the rest of the show. And I basically did my entire evening with like, okay, you get to watch a little bit more if you do a little bit of this. Because I'm the sort of person that didn't want to have the greasy salmon dish sitting there all night. And I didn't want to be doing dishes at 11 o'clock at night when I finally dragged myself away from binge watching my TV show. Even this morning, I was running late. And so we jumped on. And while we were doing our pre chat, you were hanging laundry. I was making a smoothie. I even half made the bed before we sat down for this. And we got both done, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because we are
Yeah.
people that can get shit done while we natter about what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah. And I think that's what's important is just recognizing when your attention goes somewhere that you don't want and pulling it back, right? It's not any different than having a dog on a leash or having a pet in general. They're going to do what they're going to do, and your brain's going to do what your brain's going to do. And if you can keep a little bit of a separate perspective on it, like, okay, brain, it's time to focus on this right now. And so this is what we need to do. And, or, oh, no, brain, we're not going to bark about that. That's not something that is okay with us. We're not going to do that anymore. So what are we going to do instead? And filling the void with something else that you want, that you're choosing, that is going to be more useful and better for you in the long run. And I feel like life is really nothing more than a long string of those decisions over and over and over again.
Totally. Well, and you
Until we
also,
die.
like, you open up the answers. If you're ruminating about something negative that's happened that's stopping you from doing something that you want to do, and you switch it to a different conversation, suddenly you get opportunities or ideas that come into your head that solve it, and it might actually end up being better than the other. Ian and I would love to be going out to this lodge together that we've been enjoying, but we can't because we've got the dog to look after. And I was ruminating on the situation that led to us not being able to leave the dog with somebody. And then as soon as I stopped doing that and I started looking in a different direction, I was like, hey, you know what? This is actually an opportunity. We could do it separately and together. And, you know, it's like, well, as soon as I started looking at how could we still have our cake and eat it too, I came up with a different solution. And it's actually been fabulous. Right now, Ian's paddling back from the lodge by himself. And for two people that are joined at the hip, it's really actually quite magical for us to be doing things that we always do together separately. And it gives us an opportunity to explore that differently and to grow in ways that we want to be able to grow. And it only happens when you decide that you're the type of person who, as opposed to being that same person who you've always been.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what's been coming up lately in the journaling work that I've been doing in the program that I'm in with Laura Michelle is that I keep getting the message that we have to stop focusing too hard on things. Because when we hold on too tightly, and like you said, when you're giving too much of your attention to the quote unquote problem, there is no room for a solution to come in, let alone the most optimal solution for that issue. And so therefore, if you just open things up and allow more room, stop ruminating and chewing on it like a dog with a bone, and just let things be, then solutions that you never dreamed of can come into reality that will serve you far better than the solution that you were trying to force in the situation before, or the lack of solution at all, and the, oh, well, we can't do anything because we're now paralyzed because this situation has happened that has changed our plans. And this is exactly the work I've done with the horses. I find this work with the dogs and the cats, that the less that we focus on the problem directly and the more we go about it in a sideways manner and allow things to evolve on their own, the results are faster and they're better than whatever my little pea brain could have come up with chewing on the problem over and over and over and over again. And it's a freedom. And it's a release of the gripping and the tension that we permeate ourselves with all the time when we're working on something, when we're trying to find a solution, and when we're struggling with something. And it all goes back to, what are you paying attention to? And we need to sit with the problem, but we need to sit with it next to us. We need to not sit with it in front of our faces, staring at it all the time. And making the choice to not fall into the doom scroll rabbit hole or any other rabbit hole that's not useful for us, whether that's just thoughts or whether that's an action, like ending up binge watching a TV show.
It was a really
It's okay to
good
choose
show.
that once in a while. Yeah, it's okay to choose that once in a while. It's not okay to choose that every night, right? That's not something that is going to serve you and your greater goals. And so making sure that those instances aren't happening repeatedly. Again, what are you paying attention to? What are you paying to have in your life by giving it your attention? And what is it costing you at that point?
Totally. It's really interesting that everything that you just said, because that's exactly what is in the stars right now. We're in eclipse season, and right now, anyone that you watch that has anything to do with astrology or the energetics that are surrounding us is saying that right now you need to let go. You need to stop forcing, you need to stop pushing, you need to just allow. And it's always true, but apparently right now that is the overwhelming theme of what is going on. And if you are trying to force anything, you're going to end up being frustrated because it's not being supported. What is being supported is whatever you believe in. Let the universe take control, let Jesus take the wheel. Whatever it is, that is the only way that you're going to have any sanity in this time. And it's fascinating that our conversation has come round to that, because surrendering is always the right way to do it. It's not the easy way to do it. It's so hard to be like, okay, I'm just going to surrender and I'm going to allow whatever is going to be, because we want to have the control. And if you're in a negative space around something, you're making decisions to hurt somebody else or to make a point. It's not for your higher good. You know, I found myself in a situation where I was like, well, we need to do this because then that'll show them. And I'm like, seriously? How much money are you going to spend in order to make a point that isn't actually going to make a point to anybody other than feed this negativity and make it worse? When you could just let it go and be like, I will make my choices, and if an opportunity comes up that I'm like, oh, I want to do that, I'm going to do it because I want to do it. I'm not going to do it for any other reason. And it's fascinating when you start to pay attention. It's like, oh, why am I even giving that my attention? I've got so many other things that I could be thinking about right now. Why am I thinking about that?
Yeah. And it's hard. Like you said, it is really hard.
Yeah.
But it's nothing more than continually redirecting. If you literally had a puppy next to you, what would you be doing all day? Or a toddler, a child. If you had them with you, you have to focus on what they are doing all the time and pay attention to their choices. And when they're not making a good choice, you have to redirect them. Your brain is no different at all. And I almost feel like that takes some pressure off, right? If I'm like, oh, the little thing that lives in my head up there is basically a 2-year-old and we have to mind it all day long and be like, nope, don't do that. That's not good for you. Let's not think about that. That's not helpful either. Oh, don't go there. Here's something that is helpful for you. Put this in front of you and play with this. If that's all we have to do, it takes some pressure off, because it's like, oh, well, that's what's going to happen. Brain's going to brain. And it's not any more complicated than that. Mm-hmm. And so we just need to keep redirecting. And when we can hold it that lightly and that playfully, like, oh, gee, it is spinning some really wild stories today. That's interesting. and allow things to happen that way, then we can start to notice what's going on and be a little bit more aware of it so that we have more choice. And that's what happens, is that it keeps opening up more choice. We start to think, oh, look, I found some choices. I can actually make decisions about this. And then a month or so later, you're like, oh, wow, I have even more choices and even more opportunities. And it just keeps opening up and unfolding like that. The other day I went to the barn and I'm hearing sirens, and there's a helicopter flying super low across the street, circling. I live very close to Interstate 95, huge, it's 3 lanes on each side up here, big interstate, lots of traffic. I realize it's silent. And I'm like, oh, this is a bad day. This is a really bad day for somebody. Like, the highway is like a river. If it's silent, there's a problem. Yeah. And I was able to notice the response of my nervous system to all of these changes going on in my environment. And I was like, this is really interesting to me. And part of me was feeling the collective angst of the ripple effect of traffic suddenly being halted here, because that's just a really bad timing. Like, I can't even tell you. It snarls everything. The farm owner was texting me. I'm texting a bunch of people trying to figure out what's going on and how worried should I be in this situation. And I'm texting her, and she was trying to get back home, and she was 2 miles from home, and her GPS said 40 minutes. Yeah. It didn't take her 40 minutes, thank God, but that's how bad it was. 2 miles in 40 minutes, that's insane. You
could walk a lot, well, maybe not, but...
Right, you could walk faster than that, legitimately, And so I'm feeling all of that. And then somewhere in me, I was like, my nervous system is actually recognizing the lack of this sound as feeling good. And I was like, wow, that is really fascinating to me, that this thing that's basically in my life almost constantly, because I live close enough to the highway, it's like a river. There's just always sound. And yet when it was gone, there was a part of me that was like freaked out because it knows what it means. But then there's that other part of me that's like, oh, we can take a breath. And it was just this interesting contrast of 2 different feelings and experiences at the exact same time. But if I had been too busy paying attention to one specific thing, I never would have noticed that felt sense in there. And so that's what our attention costs us when we end up gnawing on something over and over and over again, or when we end up focusing on one singular piece of a, quote, problem. We can't see the rest of the entire scope of what is actually available to us all the time. It's always there. It's just that when your attention is narrowed too much, you don't get to see that. You can't see the rest of what's on the radar screen when you're looking at the tiny piece in front of you. And how do we continually cultivate that within ourselves more and more and more? And that's how we get back out of the weeds faster. We go, oh, there goes my attention again. I got to bring it back. Here we go again.
Yeah, no. I think that really sums it up really well. The last thing that I want to add to that is I saw something the other day that was like, try not to complain for the next, I don't know, however long. Don't complain for the next
2 minutes.
Exactly. For the next week, I think
Start there. Start small.
Yeah. This week, every time you go to complain, change. Like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. Oh, I have an opportunity to do something else. Or this didn't work out for me. And try to find a way to turn every complaint into a win. And your instant reaction to that was start small. How that sounds really hard, right? And it's fascinating because they do say if you are constantly complaining, you train your brain to go into complaints. You will see complaints. And it's not woo-woo. It's not false stuff. The reality is that our thoughts create our reality over and over and over and over and over again. And that is the one thing, whether you're riding a bike, you're working with horses, you're working with your animal, we create our own reality. The thoughts that we have, the things that we say. And if you are paying attention you really will see that you're in charge. And if you can catch yourself and if you can direct your subconscious to the things that you want, you will notice that your decisions change. You will notice that the way that people react to you is different. You will respond differently in different circumstances. And sometimes it's easy, and most of the time it's a challenge, right? And we have trained ourselves to be a certain way. And it's just a matter of everything you said about the toddler, right? We've just got to take it lightly, allow, and choose to create a reality that is the one that we want and not the one that we don't want.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, it does take time, right? It takes time of repeating these steps long enough that the body and the brain go, oh, yeah, this is a new way that we're doing things, and it does feel good. Because at first it's not going to feel good, even if it's good for you. You know, like how compulsive do we get about reaching for our phones, right? To look at our phone. Are there any notifications? Do I have any likes? Has something popped up? Is there a new post? How compulsive do we get about that? And fighting that compulsion can feel bad in the beginning, even when we know that the choice we're making is one that's good for us. But it's different, right? It's a different choice. And therefore, our body goes, yeah, but different, that's sketchy. Different can cause problems. And so we just have to work within that long enough that it no longer feels uncomfortable. And then the real change starts.
I agree with you, but I do want to argue that it doesn't actually take that much time. It actually just takes intention. And that's the hard part. Because as soon as it is like you get an instant, like 360, 180, whatever, we want 180. If you are in a situation and you choose to look at it differently, your experience changes immediately. What takes time is remembering to do that, because like when you're on your mountain bike, when you're in it, you cannot focus on anything but being in it. So coming back to that whole idea of Abraham saying you're going to step off the curb and you're going to get hit by the bus, and then you're going to step off the curb and you're going to get hit by the bus, and then you're going to not quite step off the curb and then fall off the curb and get hit by the bus, and then you actually manage to not step off the curb and you don't get hit by the bus, and then you do it again. And it's just a playfulness that needs to happen, of knowing that when you do it, it's instant. You're like, oh my God, that was so good. And oops, messed that one up again. And that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, some of that depends on what's going on in your nervous system, right? Because our brains produce chemicals that we get used to. For better or for worse, we get used to them. And normal becomes our status quo, whether it's good for us or not. That dopamine hit from the doom scrolling becomes normal, and that's what our brain gets used to. And when we go, yeah, but you know what? We don't want the dopamine like that. We want the dopamine like something else. Our brain goes, that's not how we do this. No. That's not how this works. This is the way that we produce these chemicals. And it does take time to change that. We can get instant feedback that is helpful and useful, and that is what we have to hang on to. Those are the things that we have to go back to when our brain goes, yeah, but we want the dopamine. We like the doom scroll dopamine. Then we have to go, no, but that other stuff was really good. And it's just redirecting that puppy, redirecting the toddler in our brain over and over and over again until we get to the point where the brain goes, oh yeah, we don't actually like that doom scroll dopamine anymore. That's not so much fun. This is the way that we like being. And then that's when you know that now that change is much more permanent. But it takes a combination of redirecting repeatedly until it clicks. And for some people that can be fast, and for some people that can be slow. The good news is the more you practice this, the faster it gets with everything. So if you work with your pets a lot, practice this with your pets, because you know what? That is going to teach you how to do it somewhere else. If you bike, practice this with your bike. Practice being able to change your attention on your bike. And then that will inform your ability to make these decisions in your business or with your other health projects or with your diet or wherever, and use those different aspects to retrain yourself across your disciplines and across your life. And it will just continue to get faster and faster and faster.
And I honestly think we could just keep chatting about this. So I'm going to wrap this up by something that I read, and I'm going to reach out to my friend Mel because I'd love to have her on the show. But she wrote an incredible article the other day about how we have been taught to not think for ourselves. And by selling the answer to every problem we have been trained to look for things outside of ourselves. And the moral of this story is that you get to choose. You don't need a journal prompt to sit down and journal. You don't need a guided meditation to sit down and meditate. You don't need a course on how to do X, Y, and Z in order to do X, Y, and Z. When you're actually learning a skill, like how to get more views on your Instagram and somebody else has done it and they can tell you how to do it, sure. But when it comes to learning how to think better, to have better mindfulness, to meditate, to do all these things, we've made it a commodity and we're selling it. And by selling it, we are saying that you don't have the answer inside of you. I've got the answer. If you buy it from me, then you will be able to do this better. But if we just stopped and thought for ourselves and paid attention to what we were thinking about, then we would be able to break free of this mindlessness that is keeping us stuck, keeping us riding into the weeds over and over and over again, feeling like we have no control and looking outside of ourselves for help. Yeah, there's guides. Yeah, there's people that can totally give you the tools. You already have the tools. And if they're not your tools, they're probably not going to work. If you're a left-handed person and you try and use right-handed tools, they don't work for you.
It doesn't. Right. It doesn't.
And that's what we're all trying to do, right? Oh,
yeah.
This person has the answer to over 50 weight loss. No, they figured it out for them. And that worked for them. And it might work for other people, but it might not. What feels good for you? And I think
you always have to stop and ask, what does my body
want
and my heart and my gut tell me about this decision? Is this a useful piece of information for me to think about, for me to explore, for me to learn? Because if you don't get a yes through your own channels, then it isn't going to help you. But if you don't know how to hear your own channels, you will always be chasing someone else's answer.
Yeah. I was invited to go fishing the other night and I think I want to go. Oh, but maybe I want to do this instead. I kind of want to go fishing. And I stopped and I was like, do you want to go fishing? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Screw all the other things. Yeah, I want to go fishing. And it was great. We ended up going out for half an hour and it was amazing. And I loved it. And I was like, that's right. My human design is a solid just ask. Yes or no? Yes, I do. Yeah. Screw everything else. Okay, with that, you have to get your cat to the vet. I have to go and get my husband out of the ocean. And get on with some things in my day because it's now 11:30 and nothing else has gotten done. But I did do my yoga and dog got fed and we had a smoothie. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us today. We just love having you along and we'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy our podcast, please let us know. Send us a message, write a comment, share this with your friends. However your love language is, don't be silent because creators love feedback. I am Natasha Lockie. I am a business builder. I am here to help you get over the stuff that is stopping you from doing the things that you really want to do and change that conversation that's I can't do to how can I is essentially it. If you would like to connect with me and set up a 15-minute free consultation call to see if I can help you, just send me a DM on Facebook, Natasha Lockie, or at Betty Go Hard on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening. And you can find Writing in the Weeds on Substack. Please go on over there. And remember, we have a Wins chat we would love for you to join us on. All right, Jenny.
Yeah, I'm Jenny Brandon. I'm an animal communicator and energy healer for animals and their people too. If you are struggling with how to redirect some things that your pet might be doing, let me know and we can definitely have a session together that will help get you guys back on the same page and back to harmony so that you can bring the joy back in your relationship together. You can find me on the web at soulpetconnections.com and on Substack, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube under the same handle. So, echoing Tosh, we love to have you along for the ride with us and appreciate you staying with us through this one. And we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing day.